What's up, world? It's your boy Tommy Mab, and I just came to come and pop in on this whole Scottie Pippen situation, and I have to say I love every single second of it. As everybody who's watched my channel knows, growing up, Scottie Pippen was my favorite player. I like Scottie Pippen more than Jordan because I thought Scottie Pippen wasn't a selfish ball hog. I was never a Jordan fan. I never liked the way he played. I always thought that he was, as a kid, you see things on, I think, more basic level. And when I used to watch Jordan, he always seemed like those people I played with that when you playing with them, they take 90 shots, and then at the end of the game, they turn to you and say, "Why y'all couldn't help me out?" And you sit there thinking to your mom, "Well, you didn't really give me an opportunity to help you out. You shot 90 times, and now everybody else had to stand around and watch you." And everybody's played on in the gym with that dude who thinks he's Jordan and goes out there shooting 90 shots like everybody else wants him to shoot 90 shots. And then when it turns around in the game's lost, he starts blaming other people. Because in his mind, if he don't, he's the best player out there, so he should shoot the most. But the truth of the matter is, every person out there on the court think that they're the best player out there. Only difference is in the NBA and in basketball, the coaches get to choose that. Like I said, if J.R. Smith was ever put on a team where he was the number one option, J.R. Smith could have averaged 30 points a game, right? He could be an all star. Point is, he just never ended up on a team where he could be the first option. He was never, or a coach never trusted him to be the first option, and that's what happens when you are. That's the difference between the not the difference. Obviously, skill also, but also it's a lot of coaching. The coach does it, and what Scottie Pippen saying there, all these Jordan fans flooding that Dan Patrick interview because that batshit crazy. And the minute you say something about Jordan, they act like complete dickheads, and all of a sudden everything that the guy says from that point forward is bad, right? Scottie Pippen held nothing back. He said when they asked him about Jordan, he said Jordan was selfish. He said, and they asked him why you think Jordan came back in '94. He said, I think Jordan came back because he realized we didn't really need it, and that's just the real truth. If you watch their record in 1994, because they made it to the playoffs without him, right? And they made it damn near to the NBA Finals without Michael Jordan, right? Now Jordan fans hate to hear this, right? That's why they now all of a sudden, like I said, but Pippen doesn't care because Pippen's always been on this shit list, right? Because nobody takes away from Michael Jordan like Pippen does. And people love to make that statement. Well, Jordan never won one without Scottie. I mean, Scottie never won one without Jordan. Yeah, but Scottie went way further than Jordan did without him. Without Pippen, I don't even think Jordan made it out of the first round. Pippen almost made it to the NBA Finals with Jordan off the team. So the whole mindset is different. B.J. Armstrong was an all-star that year, right? Because Pippen accentuated and made all the players around him better. Jordan most of the time took away. That's why Horace Grant became an all-star after he left. You know why? Because Jordan took up so many shots. He put up so many shots. It was hard for other people to get any groove, to get any of their shots off. But the problem was he was, like I said, the team around him, he was so talented, and the team around him was so talented that it was hard to beat the Bulls. So he could get away with doing that. But if you actually look at the way that 94 season ended, Jordan, they went 55-27 without Jordan. 55-27. That was them. So you know what I'm saying. So in the year before that, they went 57-25. So a year after when Jordan left the team in 93, 94, 92, 93, the next year they lost 2 less games. So you can say whatever the hell you want about Scottie Pippen. Like I said, because I'm always going to defend Scottie, because I know that man just probably at the point where he's sick of y'all shit. And as a basketball fan, you know Scottie Pippen was too great of a player to not get his due, and that's why, like I said before, I love that Scottie Pippen is holding no punches when he's saying what he's saying, because he felt like Michael Jordan directly tarnished his legacy in a bullshit documentary that had nothing to do with him. Right? That's supposed to be about you. That wasn't about the Bulls. That was about you. And you spent 90% of that documentary trashing this man. Because the truth of the matter is, Michael Jordan is a textbook narcissist. He's a sociopath. Right? He doesn't care about what he does to other people as long as his end game is achieved. He does not like the fact that he is connected to this all-time great player that helped him win championships, especially now since the bar has moved, since LeBron has been winning championship with guys who are way under par, right? So now his legacy has to change. It can't be the greatest player with one other player, because LeBron has done great things with no other great players around him. Now, you can make the argument that Charles Barkley did that before LeBron James. You can make the argument that Clyde Drexler did that before LeBron James. Took teams with under par players. Only difference was they were running up against a super team. That's like LeBron ran up against a super team. Right? But the difference in the situation is they weren't as great as LeBron is. So that's where you have your parity. That's where the problem comes in. And this is the problem that I think Pippen that charged a lot of Michael Jordan man to go at Pippen's neck all the time. I think you constantly going at the man's neck talking about what he can't do. He starts just now Pippen to the point where he's just starting to speak facts. Kevin Durant brought that bullshit up about him and that same thing that Jordan brought up in that thing that he refused to shoot. Pippen told the truth. Pippen said that was complete bullshit. Michael Jordan did that plenty of times where he would throw fits and basically run over. He said in the documentary, he basically told Cartwright he better give him the ball, even though Phil Jackson drew up a completely different play. So Michael Jordan just had more sway than Pippen did. And Pippen had no other choice. He couldn't. And I heard people say, well, if you really look at it, Kukoc was making those shots all game. I mean, all season. Well, why the hell was he making those shots all season? It's like, I sit here and I tell myself this stuff all the time. Like, people rarely ever think about what they say when they say it. Why the hell was he shooting so many end of the game shots? You did not disprove what it's so freaking maddening. And you sit out, you read the comments like, well, Kukoc hit a bunch of game-winning shots. Why was he shooting so many game-winning shots? That's the question you should be asking. Not whether or not he made them. Could Tony Kukoc have made those very same shots with Michael Jordan on the team? Yes. Would he have been able to take those very same shots if Michael Jordan was on the team? No, he wouldn't have been able to. Because Michael Jordan would have went for it, and Phil Jackson would have had the ball to call it. So the stupidity of people turning around and saying that, oh, well, Scottie getting mad, but the truth of the matter was Tony Kukoc had been hitting those shots all year. Well, so you trying to tell me he just started being able to hit those shots? He couldn't hit those shots when Michael Jordan was on the team. Please, stop it. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I don't care about somebody saying stupid shit. I hate when someone says stupid junk when someone else is expressing their frustration about a wrong that was done to them, right? When you start to portray something a certain way, to the point where this guy's whole career, and people keep throwing this back in his face, nobody in that era, would have been Charles Barkley, anybody who was a great, the question that you ask the best player on the team, when the game's on the line, you put the ball in their hands. Scottie Pippen dealt with it all year, and he was a team player. That's why Tony Kukoc got to shoot so many of those shots that Michael Jordan would have never allowed him to shoot. But now the game is on the line. That's what you want. You want your number one player to want the ball. And if Scottie Pippen can't come to you and say, no, I want it, and you won't change the play for him, then what the hell are we talking about? At that point, when Scottie Pippen said, "I'm done with it," he should have. Bill Jackson should have been like, "Nah, just okay, get Scottie the ball." He had earned that. Scottie Pippen earned that in that situation. And like he said, I think he lazily used the word racism. I'm going to be honest on that. I think he used, because I think a lot of times black people, we use the word racist lazily. Meaning we think that people see black people in a certain light. And we'll paint that as racist. But I don't really think that's racist. I think that's more of a person. I think Bill Jackson doesn't see black players the same way he sees white players. No, I don't think that. I don't think many coaches see black players and white players the same way. Sometimes that's a detriment for the white player. Sometimes it's a detriment for the black player. That's just how it is. People see the world in colors. That's just how the world works. It's because we live in a society that tells us to do scientific method. We instead of us meeting and greeting new people, the science in our society teaches people to judge people based on scientific data. And what's the only scientific data we have about people we don't know? The color of their skin. So, same science you use to uphold the stupid stuff you want to do is the same science that continues to keep some of the prejudices that run through our society. That's just life. But the truth of the matter is, do I think that Phil Jackson is a racist and he hates black people? No. Do I think that he sees black people different than he sees white people? Yes. Do I think that he may have had a bias for the white players? Yes. Why? Because he was a white player. And he wasn't a particularly good white player. Right? He was more of a Joakim Noah type of player and to call him a Joakim Noah type of player is a stretch. Phil Jackson was more of a crazy, like Dennis Rodman type of player. Like he really didn't have a shot. He was kind of wild. You know what I mean? That really was Phil Jackson. Like Phil Jackson was more of a hustle player. Right? So, yes, a lot of those white guys, when they become head coaches, they look for people who will like them. Guys who are white, who are overlooked. And yes, do I think Bill Jackson may have looked at some of those white guys and was like, oh, I'm going to give you an opportunity that I didn't get? Yeah, I think he probably did do that. The only difference in the situation is black people usually can't do that because we're not in those positions to do that. So it seems like it's racist because it's like, well, white person is doing it for white people, but it's not really fair because black people can't really do it for black people because we really don't get the positions that the white players, like Phil Jackson was not a good basketball player, yet he ended up being a head coach. Steve Kerr was not a good basketball player, ended up being a head coach. Actually taking over for a guy who was a better player than him, in Mark Jackson, was a better basketball player, but who ended up the head coach? Steve Kerr. I'm trying to. Mark Paxson, front office. They help their people, right? Danny Ainge, front office. Larry Bird, front office, head coach. Think about all the great black players. What are they at? Nowhere. You got a couple of them in the front office. For the most part, they're not in the front office. They're not on head coaching staffs. Most of them either doing some ESPN junk or nothing at all. They don't get those same opportunities. I mean, look at Jason Kidd. You know, Steve Nash wasn't even thinking about being a coach. Walked into a head coaching gig. No experience. Now, you can say Jason Kidd did the same thing, but he wasn't playing with the same type of team that a team that was expected to win a championship. That's what Steve Nash walked onto. A team that was expected to win a championship. That was the same thing with Steve Kerr. He walked on the team and they were fighting in bidding wars over him with New York and for a guy who ain't had no experience doing it. Right? And of course he's gonna take the Golden State job. He actually rebelled against the New York and took the Golden State job because who wouldn't? He ended up taking the team that Mark Jackson built to another level. Same thing with the guy up in Nick Nurse up in Toronto. The guy came in and turned that organization around. They gave it to Nick Nurse. He won his championship. But where are they now? It's the same junk every year. It's the same thing in everything too. You look at most stuff. Black people build stuff up. White people come take it over, and next thing you know, what black people ain't got no place no more. So I understand the mindset that Pippen had. That they wanted Tony Kukoc. Everybody knows that they wanted Tony Kukoc to be the star of that team, but Tony Kukoc just wasn't that good. So they had to find a way for Pippen to do everything and then give him glory. So I can understand why after a while Pippen started getting frustrated. Like he said, Phil Jackson was calling those plays for Steve Kerr, John Paxson. And he said the one time when you heard Michael Jordan trying to pretend, he said that they had a camera in there. He said Michael Jordan was just doing that because he knew that the camera was there. That's why he acted like he didn't care about Steve Kerr making that shot. He said all the other times he was always bitching about that, and if they didn't pick him, call to play for him, he would basically, he said it in the documentary, he would threaten the guy turning it in, who didn't pass. You better give me the ball, but you gonna turn and try to throw Scottie under the bus. And same thing Scottie Pippen said. Scottie Pippen said the same thing. They were tanking without me. They sucked ass when I wasn't there. Right? When you take Scottie Pippen off that Bulls team, you saw they were sucking with Pippen off that team. When Pippen, then everybody pointed, he got surgery during the season. You don't need him, right? All y'all Jordan fans sitting around talking about how bad y'all don't need Scottie Pippen. Y'all, they paying him $1 million. Won't let him shoot the last shot, right? Won't let him shoot the last shot. Paying him way below everybody else, right? They treated Scottie Pippen like shit. Right, and the audacity, but Jordan is I think it was kind of selfish. He making $30-some million. Scottie Pippen making $1.5 million, or $2 million, and you making $35 million. You got another call this man selfish. Not to mention the $35 million you make, you don't even need because you making $100 million with Nike. So Jordan was supremely selfish. Right? He was a supremely selfish asshole. And that's why I said, in my last video, that's why when you look at that little documentary, who you saw on there? Nobody from his team. None of his good player and teammates. Nobody. Because nobody liked him. He was a narcissist and an asshole. And majority of people who are not his fans, who don't worship him, they don't stay around him long. He does, like I said, you could tell the difference between a real person and a fake a-hole, right? Most real people, and God rest the dead, Kobe Bryant. You notice that most of the people that love him are players that are under him, right? The players that are under him. Now he died, God rest his soul. And so a lot of people are rechanging their narratives about Kobe Bryant. But when Kobe Bryant played, nobody liked him. When he first got on the Lakers, nobody liked him. And by the time he ran Shaq out of LA, nobody liked him. So now when he got a little older, Lamar Odom and guys of that, Ron Artest, he did kind of get a little nucleus of players around him when he changed up his style and became more of a point guard. When he started to pass more and utilize his passing skills and let other people shine along with him. Then he started to actually manifest, and then you see the friendship starting to build, and you could tell that. But like I said, but you look at these guys who worship Kobe Bryant, most of them got that mentality. Like they call it mama mentality. It's not a special type of mentality. It's just Jordan had a mama mentality, which is basically kill or be killed. Meaning when you go out there, you have no friends. You have nobody, no intentions but to win, and you're going to do whatever you got to do to win. It's also about hard work. It's also about training. I understand that. But a lot of those guys that you see who take on this mama mentality are guys who have notoriously selfish personalities. Find somebody who say that they want to be like Kobe and see if you don't find a couple of selfish tendencies in them where they don't care about most people outside of their own game. But once again, I'm not trying to, like I said, speak ill of the dead. You know what I'm saying? Kobe Bryant seemed like he changed his personality. He became very personable after his career. A lot of people liked him, and he had connections with a lot of different people. But while he was playing, he was like that. Jordan, loyalty to me, I always point out, is very important. There's a reason why Michael Jordan has a complete his wife. First of all, the wife he met when he was already rich, right? Only married her because she's threatening with a paternity suit, right? He was not going to claim his own child until she threatened to sue him for paternity. He knew that would mess up his public image, so he decided to marry her. That's only why he married that lady, right? It was not love. It was not. He cheated on her the entirety of their marriage, not based on love, not based on anything outside of he knew she could have screwed him up. So he married her, right? Cheated on her so many times, too many times to count. She ended up divorcing him a little while later. So wife gone. I don't really understand. Like I said, there's loyalty there. There's a track record of him just not being a good person. And like I said, you can go look on the internet. It's about stories of people meet Michael Jordan and what an a-hole he was. Chameleon, as I said, sticks out. You know what I'm saying? But that ain't even one. That's one of few. You can go on the internet. You find millions of stories of people saying Michael Jordan is a supreme a-hole when it comes to black people. Now with white people, they say he was a supreme kiss-a. He don't care what type of white person you were. You could be a low white person or a high white person. He didn't care. If you were white, he treated you with utmost respect. You were black, he treated you like you were trash. Unless you were like of his ilk, meaning you had to be like rich or famous or like on that level. If you were a lowly or a regular black person, especially a hood black person, they say he treated you like trash. They say he literally said, "I don't hang around niggas." That's his words, based on what I heard. So if you want to worship that and be for that, then that's all good. But you can tell Scottie Pippen just don't hit his limit. And he's just airing shit out. And when he came out there and he said what he said, I said, bravo. Because finally he said it. He was like, why do you think Jordan came back? He said, I know why he came back. Because he saw we were doing good. And you realize the year he came back, they actually had a worse record. The year he came back, they had a worse record than the year before when he wasn't there. Ironic, right? Funny. Yeah, very, very funny. They lost to Orlando Magic in 6 games, right? Amazing. But he wasn't Jordan in that series, right? He wasn't Jordan in that series. Like, give me a break. I want somebody to hear what I'm trying to say. Michael Jordan, in the Magic series, he averaged how many points per game? He averaged 31 points a game, but that wasn't the real Jordan. He shot 151 shots. You want to know who the next close person was? Scottie Pippen at 88. B.J. Armstrong at 58. And you want to know who third was Tony Kukoc at 61. So in 6 games, this man shot 151 shots. Does that seem like a guy who utilized his teammates? Or a guy that teammates had to deal with the fact that anytime they were losing, he took it personal and started shooting the hell out of the ball until they lost. But you know, it's all good. You know, Michael had to carry the team. Scottie averaged 19, 10, and 6. Jordan averaged 31, 6, and 3. Does anybody else think maybe if they gave Scottie Pippen the ball more, they might have been in a better position than Jordan shooting 151 shots to the point that they ended up losing the series? Clearly, he needed to stop shooting so much. That was the problem. But nobody says that. Everybody points at the fact. Nobody points at the fact that you look at the Magic. Their stuff. I mean, their field goal attempts way closer. Shaq had 95. The next best was Anthony Hardaway with 86. Horace Grant with 68. Nick Anderson with 70. Dennis Scott with 80. The ball was spread around. The Bulls, 151 went to Jordan, and everybody else had to get in where they fit in. But Jordan, oh my God, how can Jordan not, Jordan they have, basically Grant wasn't no all-star. How the hell can he be an all-star? He don't get no shots. Scottie Pippen only averaged 18, only had one season where he averaged more than 18 points. How the hell can he average more? He's not even shooting, he's not shooting half of what Jordan's shooting. Please explain to me how he's supposed to be averaging more than that. It's no coincidence. There's no coincidence that Scottie Pippen became an all-star or a top-tier player where he averaged way more points after Jordan left. You know why? Because he could average more points when Jordan left. It's just that simple. I don't understand why people make stuff harder than what it needs to be. Right? Let's not make shit harder than it needs to be. Pippen has a straight-up point in what he's saying. Jordan understood why that was happening. Pippen understood why Jordan wanted to come back, because he understood that if he didn't come back, his legacy was going to get killed. Because if Pippen took that team to a championship without him, his legacy was done. And Pippen almost did it. So he comes back in next year and totally derails that season, right? Because they were worse off after he came back than before he left. Their record went down after he returned. But nobody talks about that. Everybody talks about Jordan scoring 45 in one game, Jordan scoring 50 in one game. Nobody talks about the fact that he tanked their record. Because he came in trying to get back in groove at the expense of the team. Shooting the hell out of the ball. Everybody else watching him shoot the ball. And people don't understand. When you got a guy that consumes as many shots and puts up as many shots as Jordan, you got to have some very, very patient teammates. When you shooting 40% from the field, and you shooting way more than everybody else, I'm sorry, those people got to be extremely patient. The patience it took for Scottie Pippen, as good a player as Scottie Pippen was, the patience it took for that man to deal with that narcissist his entire career, knowing how good he could have been had he went to another team. But you land with the most narcissistic player in the history of the NBA who chunks up 90 shots, and you still make him look good because you bust your ass. You go on the number one player on defense. You're the facilitator when he messes the team up. You the worst now to come in and make up for his messes when he shoots y'all in the 15-point leads. You know what I'm saying? Like. You got to come in and fix his mess. You got to come and pass the ball around. Get everybody else involved. Get everybody set up. Also, he can come back in at the end of the game and shoot 20 more shots and get all the glory for it. You got to guard the number one person on defense. You got to get all the rebounds. You guarding, fours and fives while he guarding the fourth best offensive player. You busting your ass and doing all the hard work. He getting all the glory. I'm sorry, if I'm Scottie, I'm surprised Scottie Pippen ain't lose it sooner. Because to sit there and have to deal with what that man had to deal with his entire career, to hear these dumbass Jordan fans coming out afterwards and saying, Scottie could, well, why did Scottie go further without, Scottie years without Jordan, even after Jordan retired, when he was on the Blazers, when he was on the Rockets, they went further in the playoffs than Jordan did without Pippen. So Pippen never played on bad teams. Pippen always took his team, always contributed to the point that his team was able to get deep in the playoff. Can't say that about Jordan. You take Pippen off his team, when did he ever do that without Pippen? You saw when he played for the Wizards. I'm saying he's 40 at that point, so I understand, but still, they hated him. He was 40, and the Wizards players hated him because he just wouldn't get that he's not Jordan. And he couldn't get away with it like he used to get away with it when he was on the Bulls. Because those young guys ain't going to be sitting up there like Scottie and Horace them, busting their ass so you can get all the glory because you was the big dog and they were just, young cats. No, these guys are looking at you like, look, man, this man is very demanding and he's not that good of a player no more. And now he's still chunking up shots. He still went to the All-Star game that year because he chunked up so many shots. The Wizards sucked, just like he always sucked without Pippen, but nobody ever says anything. So I just say that because I'm proud of Scottie Pippen for finally speaking up. Do I think he may have gotten a little liberal with the terminology calling Phil Jackson a racist? I think in a way he's speaking from what he felt, which was that Phil Jackson gave some preferential treatment to the white players, which I can see. But I don't think it was based in racism. I think it was based in the fact that he's white and they're white and he used to play and a lot of times white guys don't get opportunities. So he may have given more opportunities to white guys who didn't really deserve it. But other than that, no, I think Scottie just did it. I think Phil just did what he did. Scottie did what he did. But I don't think Phil Jackson's a racist. I don't think Scottie probably even meant it in a way of that people take it like he hated black people. Because you guys realize when you're talking to I don't know if it's all white people, but white people are very linear in their understanding of things. If you say something, you think that they're playing dumb. They're not. It's not that they're dumb. It's just they're very linear. Like if you say something, they gonna go to the textbook definition of what that means, and you can't. There's no gray in there. And so when you use the word racist, they don't understand it to mean a person who's biased towards white people. They see it as you hate black people. They don't see, they have a very linear way of looking at stuff. And I don't know if that's all white people, but the white people I've come across, they're very linear in their understanding of things. And you have to break it down because if you say something, they're going to say, you said that's what that means. It's like, no, there's a different interpretation. It can also mean this. But they don't ever pay attention to that. Once you say something, it's very linear. Phil Jackson hates black people. I don't think Scottie Pippen ever was saying that Phil Jackson hates black people. I think he just thought that he gave preferential treatment to the white players, which I think is not racist. I think it's just bias. But that's neither here nor there. The point I'm making is Scottie Pippen, bravo to you for finally speaking up, finally defending yourself against all this slander that's been out there for years. And I applaud that, man. Love Scottie Pippen from the time I was a little kid. Always been my favorite player. And now I like him even more. Keep talking. Keep saying what you're saying. Because the same thing Kwame Brown was saying a couple weeks ago. Jordan is a snake. And he did that documentary putting up all negative stuff about Scottie Pippen. Why? Why? Because Scottie Pippen happened to say one time that he thought LeBron James was the greatest player of all time. Now all of a sudden you mad about it. Okay, so you got to realize Scottie Pippen is not that same kid he was in the locker room. He's a grown man. Now he's just going to speak your mind. And you got a lot of bones in your closet too. And that man can start exposing them. And he can start, because Scottie Pippen has been very protective of Michael Jordan's legacy, his entire career. Because he understands these dick-ass Jordan fans. And he understands that they will attack him. They're probably attacking him now. But Scottie Pippen, I think Scottie Pippen got to a point where he just does not care no more. After that documentary, I think Scottie Pippen just got to a point where he's like, bumped it. I don't care no more. Like, y'all can say what y'all want. I'm going to defend myself. And like he said, when she's like, you think you're going to get back? He said, I don't care no more. It's just like Horace Grant. I don't care. Like, I think people are just tired of this lie of who the people trying to pretend Michael Jordan was. When in actuality, Michael Jordan was an a-hole who none of his teammates liked. Who everybody thought was a narcissist. A lot of people, they say, I heard people use the word psychopath to describe that dude. So anybody want to comment? I don't give a shit what you got to say. Bravo to Scottie Pippen for coming out and saying what he said. I 100% agree with everything he said because he got factual evidence to back up what he's saying. So get mad all you want to, Jordan fans. It's just the real. All right, y'all. Comment, subscribe, and hit that notification so you get it as soon as it come out. All right, y'all. Peace.